Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
So it's that time of the week. It is time for us to do our 1-minute book recs where we go over all the books that we read within the past week with 1-minute synopsises of each book. So yay! But before we do that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And Mandy, tell them why.
Because we're doing our road to 1K.
Nice. There is a
We're doing our road to 1K giveaway. Our next drawing will be when we reach 750 subscribers, and we will be giving away 9 Minutes by Beth Flynn. It's signed. We have a little bit of other swag to go with it, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow us on Instagram for an extra entry.
Yay! Okay. So Mandy, tell me about your reading week.
I read 6 books. 2 of them were 5 stars.
Okay, so I read 10 books this week, and I think I had 3 5-star reads. Don't quote me on that, but I'm 99% sure it was 3 5-star reads this week. Maybe 4.
I normally don't quote you on your reading.
Please don't quote me on my reading. My voice still hasn't quite recovered from our live event from work either. Like, I can still hear it a little bit, so if I sound funny, that is why too. My first book of the week, it was so promising. It really was. It ended up being 3 stars though. But this is called Left for Wild, and it's by Harlow Ray. So this is about Blakely and Halder. So Blakely is, she works for a prison as a social worker, and Halder has been wrongfully accused, and he's been in prison for 5 years, and he's getting out. Or it might have been 2 years out of the 5, but he's getting out. He's getting pardoned. So he gets pardoned. And he's seen Blakely around. Like, she has not been his social worker, but he's seen her around, and he likes her. There's something about her. They kind of, make googly eyes at each other when that happens. Well, when he gets out, he wants to exonerate himself because he was working for these crime guys, and that's what got him thrown into prison. So as he's working to do that, these guys actually kidnap him and Blakely because he had put a target on her back and dumped them in the wilderness, and they have to survive. And that's what it was about, like them trying to survive through the wilderness. Like, it had good bones, like it had the promise. It just kind of fell short in a few areas. So I like the idea, it didn't work. I mean, it did, but it didn't. I give it 3 stars because I enjoyed it while I was reading it. It still fell short from what I was wanting. Like, some things just didn't feel complete. So yeah.
I've read some Harlow Ray, and I feel like that happened to me too when I was reading her. Like, it was like started off so good, and I was so excited about it, and then it just kind of lost steam.
Yeah, and that's pretty much that's what it felt like. So it was kind of disappointing, especially because we've been looking for some good prison books. So I was like, yeah. No.
I actually questioned, was it me? Was it my mood? Did like something change while I was reading? But I feel like that just kind of happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think if we both read a Harlow Ray and they both did it, it must be her writing style. It just felt like there were a lot of plot holes.
Yeah.
Almost. Things didn't get resolved. So, okay, tell me about your first book.
Okay, so my first book is Fling by Adriana Locke. This is about Maddox and Ashley. I really wanted to read this book because her wedding gets canceled, and she's okay with that. She's actually like, whew, felt relieved when it gets canceled. And she has spent her own money on the honeymoon. And she's like, I'm not letting it go for waste. But none of her immediate family and friends are able to go because it's kind of short notice. So her 2 very good friends decide to host a little contest because they think she just needs a fling. So they host a contest to pick somebody to go with her on this honeymoon for like a fun trip and fling. And she doesn't know who it's going to be. They pick it for her. She gets to the airport. She's been upgraded to first class. She's sitting there and she's thinking, oh my gosh, the person's going to stand me up. And in comes onto the plane and sits down next to her Maddox, who is one of her really good friends that she has had feelings for a long time.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. It was good. It was a 4-star read.
Okay, so I haven't ruined you for just contemporary romance because you did enjoy that.
I did. I do still enjoy contemporary romance. I just have to, it's like anything, you have to be in the mood for it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so this next book was one of the free books that was part of the Stuff Your Kindle Day. So this is The Proposal, and it's by Kitty Thomas. And I saw it recommended in one of my reading groups. I was like, sure, why not? It's free. There was a reason. Okay, so
Jessica!
well, I'm sorry. It just really, again, fell short. I gave it 3 stars. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess I enjoyed it kind of when I was reading it, but it's about our heroine who decides that because she's had her heart broken so many times, she's going to start dating, but she's going to date like a guy. And she is going to play the field, and she is going to have more than one guy that she dates at one time. Now, she doesn't keep this a secret. These guys know that, but she only says that she's going to commit when there's a ring on her finger. Is the only That's when she'll be monogamous. And so she doesn't sleep with them, at least with these 3. She's not sleeping with them, but she's dating them. Well, these 3 guys are all frat brothers, and they figure it out. And then instead of forcing her to break up with with 2 of them and keeping one, they decide to force her into a marriage where she marries one and then goes into like a contract with the other 2. You know, again, fell short. Why would she do that? Why? Like there was not enough of a why she would do that. And why do they just want her? Like I get with reverse harem, there has to be a reason why all 3 guys would want her. What was so special about her? Why was her kitty so golden? Like I don't get it. So this one just fell short. It was 3. I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but then I was like, really? So yeah.
Okay, so my next book, I went back to the Perfectly Imperfect series and I read Fractured Souls by Neva Altai. This is about Ashia and Pavel. And this is a heavier topic one that she wrote. She has an author's note, and she even tells you if you don't want to read it, you can skip this one and you'll be okay reading the rest of the series. But this does deal with sex trafficking. So Ashia is 18. She was kidnapped and taken into like this sex trafficking ring for about 2 months, and she's really just kind of down on herself, but she's trying to get herself like off the drugs that they supply them with, and well, not and supply them with, force them to do. And she's trying to get herself strong so she can try and get out of there. And she has an attempt or an opportunity, I should say, where she can attempt to escape. She does, and she's completely naked, runs out of an exit, and almost gets hit by a car that Pavel is driving. Gosh, these names. And he picks her up and takes her home and basically kind of decides that he wants to keep her, but not in a bad way. Not like I'm going to keep you and you can't leave. Like he decides to let her stay and he wants to help her get better. And they kind of start to fall for each other. But she has ties to the other mafia. And so this is not going to go well.
Yeah. But it was really so good. It was different than the rest of the series. But
yes.
Oh, so good. What did you give it? Was it one of your 5 stars? Oh, yeah, is it one of your 5 stars? I know when you told me that you have a couple, I'm like, I know what they are. Yeah, I know what they are. So
yep, you do.
Okay, so before we switch over, I would just like to take a minute here and warn everybody, especially those of you who are in our age range, about the dangers of
hold on.
What?
So people in your age range that are over 40, is that what you're talking about?
Our age range. I'd like to warn you.
So jealous that I'm younger than you.
2 months, Mandy. 2 months.
It is a little bit more than 2 months, Jessica.
No, it's not. I'm at the very end of January, at the very beginning of April.
Yeah, but there's several years in there that you're forgetting to add on.
Oh, please. Oh, you liar.
Oh, wow. Somebody is defensive about their age.
I am. I don't like getting
45.
I'm not 45. If you are 45, that's wonderful. We're not there yet. For another little bit of time. Wait, how? Oh, no, we got 2 years.
Clock is ticking.
Okay, anyhow.
No, I meant on you're getting closer to 45.
So are you. You laugh, but you're right behind me. Okay, listen. Trusting a 20-year-old on TikTok with your book recs is not safe, okay? When the 20-year-old, or however young, she looks like she's very young, starts jumping around, going on and on and on about a book and how amazing it is and comparing it to ACOTAR, you've been warned, do not trust it, okay?
Is that the one you sent me?
Yes!
I don't understand that video.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about it. I might have a little bit of a rant after this, okay? Because this just doesn't make sense to
Fantastic.
me.
We haven't had a rant in a while, I don't think.
I'm just gonna lose it. I'm just gonna absolutely lose it. Okay.
So
Anyhow,
am I still giving you 1 minute, or should I like
no, give me a minute. I can get this book in probably less. Okay.
Okay, here we
Okay.
go.
All right. So, guys, the latest TikTok sensation, don't trust it, is called How Does It Feel? Now, this author, I have seen her TikTok. She's very sweet, and she's asked people to stop tagging her if they don't like the cover and stuff of this book. And so she seems very sensitive. So I don't want to go too harsh on the book. The book, I gave 2.5 stars. I did enjoy some parts, but for the most part, I was bored out of my damn mind. Okay. So this is about our heroine, who is a biologist, or is whatever. She's studying these mushrooms in the human world. And she goes into the woods and she's looking for these specific mushrooms because she's trying to help these specific moths in this little town that she lives in. When she gets out there, she's in like this little fairy circle, or like the mushroom circle. She falls through a portal into the Fey world, lands on top of the Unseelie Prince, and things happen. And because she survives certain things, he decides that he's going to take her and make her his prisoner. So he makes her his prisoner for the majority of the book, which is horrible things happen to her. So definitely check triggers if you decide to read this. And then he goes and decides to make her his pet, and then she has to go through 3 trials. Okay, that's the book. So here's the deal. It's only the first book. It's going to be a continuation. It had supposedly had this huge plot twist that nobody could see coming a mile away, except for me. Apparently, I saw it coming a mile away. And people are comparing it to ACOTAR. Stop comparing this book to ACOTAR. Just because she has 3 damn trials does not mean it's ACOTAR, okay? I take that seriously. I love ACOTAR. Do not compare this book to ACOTAR. It's not. It is not ACOTAR. If you love it, that's wonderful. But guys, seriously, I question some of these people jumping around on TikTok. And I'm like, what have you read? Because it's not the same. It is not the same. Just not that it didn't work for me. So it was boring. And
I'm actually surprised that you even read A Court of Thorns and Roses, considering how popular it is.
I read it before it made its way onto TikTok. I mean, I read it like my first year of reading. It was popular, but it was before I even got on TikTok. It was before TikTok really took off. I don't even think TikTok was a baby at that point in time. No, it wasn't even, because TikTok was only 3 years old. So yeah, it was before people really found it. I mean, it was popular, but not that. So yeah. Okay. Next,
I read Burned Dreams by Neva Altai. This is about Alessandro, or as we know him, and Ravenna. Sure. I hope I'm saying that right. Phonetic awareness teaches me that's how I should pronounce it, but most times phonetic awareness doesn't matter. So this is number 7 in the Perfectly Imperfect series. So I'm now what do I read until the end of October when book 8 comes out? So this is a bodyguard one, which I really, really like. So we've seen hints of him throughout a couple of the books, and he has been plotting his revenge for 8 years on Rocco. And I'll let you read the book so you can find out why he wants this revenge. And in one of the books, we see him get transferred to watch Rocco's wife as a bodyguard, but he's picked because he hasn't had any romantic interest, so they think that he might be gay. So they basically tell him, pretend that you're gay, don't hit on women, and you'll be fine, because he keeps killing all the bodyguards that look at his wife. And it is not a she's mine, don't touch her type situation. Rocco's just slimy and gross, and he's abusive. And he kind of even takes it to another level with his abuse. He's just not great. So Az is there to get revenge. He's her bodyguard.
There you go. There you go.
Oh my gosh. This was a hands down 5-star read. It is my favorite in this series, and if you've watched our channel, I've read all 7 now, and you know all of them but one were 5-star reads for me. So for me to say this is my favorite in the series, it's got to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
Okay.
Loved it.
And it's the only one that I haven't read yet. But because I was working a crazy schedule this week, I couldn't actually read it because you have to physically read it. The audio is not out for it yet. I could listen to books this week, but I couldn't physically read books this week. So, dang it. Okay, again, I had like a crummy beginning of the week, and then it got better, obviously, because this is another 3-star read. I'm not going to go on a rant about it. Maybe. Okay, so this is Targeted in Silver Creek, and it's by Dolores Fawcett. So this is an amnesia story. So we have Jesse and Hannah. So Jesse is a cop in this small town, and he and Hannah had a one-night stand, like a year before, and Hannah got pregnant from that one-night stand. Well, 6 months before this book, roughly 6 months before the book starts, off page, she is attacked by somebody. She's shot, and because she's shot and where she's shot, she loses her memory, at least part of her memory. So she doesn't remember Jesse. She doesn't remember the night she got pregnant. She doesn't remember any of that. So now we've fast forwarded all these months, and she's still in danger, and they have a baby together. Now she knows that Jesse's the father of her baby, but she doesn't remember any of it. So this book was, it was okay. But here's the deal. This is the beginning of a new series. So this is a spinoff of one of their others, this author's one of other series. So if you're going to have it as a standalone spinoff, we need to see this stuff happen. You can't just tell us all this stuff happened and expect us to enjoy the book. Like, I want to see that happen. I want to see her not know who this guy is who claims to be the baby of her, or the father of her baby. I want to see that reaction when she wakes up and she's, 6 months pregnant in the hospital and doesn't remember. Like, I want to see that. That is the whole point in having an amnesia. Yes. So this didn't work. So if you're going to write a spinoff and you're going to have this, sometimes people are going to read it that haven't read your other books. So you need to keep that in mind. Just saying. For all those authors out there that watch us.
Author notes by Jessica.
Only one who does, she doesn't do this stuff. So yeah, that we're aware of anyway.
All right. Okay, so my next book is called The Wrong Kind of Love by Lexi Ryan. This is about Nicole and Ethan. This was a 4-star read for me. Nicole is getting married, as in it is her wedding day. She is holding her bouquet. It is just about time for her to walk down the aisle when her identical twin sister, throws up on her bouquet and confesses that she is pregnant with Nicole's fiance's baby.
No.
Yes. So Nicole kind of is like, what? And she just runs out of there and leaves. And she decides that she has nowhere to go. So she's going to the airport. But when she gets to the airport, she is thinking she's going to go on her honeymoon. But it turns out she had when she left, she ended up with her identical twin sister's stuff. So she has her purse. So her sister was leaving during her reception to go to her new job. And so she's like, well, I guess I'm Veronica. And boards the flight and ends up where she's going to be a nanny for a little girl. And this is where that story goes, but she's not her sister, but they're identical. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I feel like a few details could have maybe been worked out a little differently to really add to the story. That would have made it like a 5, but it was a solid 4-star read for me.
That sounds interesting.
I'm actually going to go read more in the series. That's how much I liked it.
Mm-hmm. My grandma was an identical twin, so I'm always like, because when we were little, we couldn't tell them apart. That's why we had grandma and Grammy, because we just couldn't tell. It was just sad. So I wanted to find another amnesia book because that one didn't work for me. So so this is a historical amnesia.
Okay.
So this is called The Rogue of Ile. So this is a Scottish romance. So this is obviously historical Scottish romance. So this is about Cullen and who we call Rose. So Cullen is the leader of his clan, and his clan is like on, it's near water. It's on its own island, I think, because Isle, so it's out there. Anyhow, so Cullen is the new laird of this clan, and one night there's a storm, and they see a ship out off their shores, but don't think much of it. They're like, oh, we'll see if it survives. Then the next day they find a girl on the shore, and she's had some trauma to her throat, and so she can't talk. And when she wakes up, she has no memory of who she is. And so that is our Rose. He starts calling her Rose. So she can't talk for a good portion of the book because her throat has to heal first. And so this is their story. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. I'm not going to go into too much. I mean, it's historical. So, I mean, there's, a certain vibe with historical, and this totally had it. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
So what did you say you rated it?
4.
Okay.
A solid 4. Historical and Amnesia was pretty good. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
My next book is called Unravel Me by Kendall Ryan. This is about Ashlyn, who is a psychology student, and she's working on her thesis, and it is around amnesia. And she gets a call that there is a guy in the hospital who has amnesia, but he is he's being held at as a prisoner basically in the hospital because he was found with a bloody body and a dead person, and they are like, okay, well, you're at the crime scene, so they arrested him basically, but he's in the hospital because he has amnesia. So she goes to interview him and quickly feels like there's something between the two of them, and that he's not this dangerous monster that they made him out to be. So she visits him frequently, and then eventually the police drop what's going on, the investigation, or they drop the charges. So he gets out and they connect, and it goes from there. This was so good, but it's only a 4-star read because of what you were talking about earlier with your amnesia book. I needed more. It went too fast. She goes and interviews him once or twice, and then we get I've been going and seeing him every day during my lunch. Well, what led that? It was a shorter book, but I felt like it was missing too much, and the writing was really good. It just needed a little bit more to everything that was going on, so you would feel that angst and be like, oh my gosh, they're starting to fall for each other. But what if he does have a wife and kids somewhere? Dude. How come nobody knows who he is? That all of that could have been developed so much more and really made the book. Mm-hmm. So it was a solid 4-star read. I would recommend it. I'm going to read the next book, and it's a series, so the next book's about her friend. So I'm going to read that because I'm curious, but I just wish that it would have had more.
Yeah. I there's been so many books this week that have had that for me. But all right. So Mandy, please don't laugh at my next book. She starts. So this is a Ruby Dixon. This is a novella. I think it was one of her first. I don't know. Maybe it's a part of a group. It was very small and it's different. He is not blue. Okay. He's an albino. and then he turns red when things happen.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So this is called The Alien Assassin's Convenient Wife by Ruby Dixon. This was a short, fun read. Actually, I gave it 4 stars. It was fun. I actually listened to it. So our hero is an alien. He's an alien assassin. And the person that he needs to kill, the other alien, is on Earth. And so he comes to Earth to hunt this guy down. He's got 48 hours to do it. And when he gets to Earth and he finds the guy, he's at almost like a marriage retreat. It's a thing that you have to have. It's at a lodge type of situation. And he has to have a wife to get in there to get to the guy. And so he hears about this dating. He's clueless, but he hears about this way to find women, because he's like, how do I find a woman to marry me right now? He's doesn't even realize he can fake it. He's got to get married. And so he finds our heroine, and she has a dating profile on there saying that she's looking for marriage. And so he DMs her and has her come out on a date with him. Her friend set up this website, by the way. She didn't know about it. And they get there and he's like, yeah, we got to get married. And it was so out there, but it was so much fun to read. It really lightened the mood, especially when I'd had like some crummy reads for the first half of the month. It was great. I liked it. So I gave it 4 stars. I do love Ruby Dixon. She just, you can't go into it with it thinking it's extremely serious. So, you know.
Okay.
Okay.
My next book I had on my Kindle and I'm like, oh, I'm going to read this. And because it was a BJ Alpha book and we'll see her at Vegas and you've talked highly of her. And then I realized it's the one that you just talked about. I didn't realize that.
Well, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
No, was it Cal or Con?
Cal. You used it for Secret Baby, I think.
I did, but I read it a few months back. But yeah, you're good. You're good. They want to hear it.
Oh, no, I'm just saying I just didn't realize that's the book it was. I didn't realize it was one that you'd read, but then when I started it and there was the whole cat thing,
the
I'm like,
cat!
oh!
The cat! Yeah.
Okay. So I read Cal by BJ Alpha, and this is about Cal and Lily. Lily is like the love of Cal's life, which I didn't quite understand because they had this one night stand 15 years ago. So I'm going to kind of pick this book apart a little bit, and I'm sorry. So this is Mafia based. Lily has a 14 or 15-year-old son who is autistic. We are told in the book that he is autistic. He is high level functioning, like as in he is like almost borderline like idiot savant type situation with the way he's able to use technology and bring people down with it and orchestrate things, almost to the point where it feels a little too far-fetched. I don't know, just me. So Lily gets this text and goes rushing home to find that her son has done something once again. And there's these men in the apartment. And it turns out that it is Cal, who is her son Reese's dad, who she had the one night stand with that she's never like saw again. And we don't know why until like halfway through the book. Mm-hmm. But he was able to figure out that was his dad, so he kind of set the whole thing up. But then there's other stuff going on, so they have to leave with him. I rated the book a 3.5 because there were parts that I really liked, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm really into this," and then other stuff would happen, and it just felt like the book was pieced together.
Mm-hmm. I remember thinking that. I think I gave it a 4, but I do remember feeling that in certain areas, especially because we didn't find out until halfway through the book what was going on.
Yeah.
That was hard for me. I'm like, hey, but wait, they talk about things like they were around each other for more than one night. And I couldn't quite figure that out. That stuff kind of tripped me up. It was probably closer to 3.5. I think I gave it 4 just because I enjoyed the story of it. Mm-hmm. But I have to say, like, when you get into that, I think that was one of her beginning books. Like,
that's what you had said.
Yeah. And like Cal, which is the second book, Con. The second book, Con, is so much better, and they just keep getting better.
That's what you had said. So I did enjoy it. There were just a few things where I'm like, why? Like what? And then I don't know if you felt this way, but the F word, I don't know if we're supposed to use that on YouTube or not. So I'll say the F word.
I don't know that we're supposed to use the sexual, like people who are like big YouTubers. We might have to watch it later with certain things that we say. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. So anyways, the F word is used way too much. It's way overused in the storyline, I think, and how they talk to each other. And it just felt like it was just overused. And so it took away, like, yes, I've used the F word. Most people use the F word. But it was like every couple of like every other word sometimes. And the way she would talk to her son and he would talk to her, like it was constant. And I don't know. I was like, it was taking away from the story. It was too much.
I saw somebody else say that too. And it didn't stand out to me too. I mean, like, I think it did in the beginning and then I kind of got numb to it. But there's certain authors that use it a lot and they're writing and then I go, is that really necessary? Really? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't let that person hang out with my kids. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm out.
You're out. You're done. Okay.
I'm done.
So this next book was our convincing my bestie to read. And I think this was for Small Town. I know this was for Small Town. So I chose 1% of You by Michelle Gross. And I'm not going to tell you what I rated it, but I will tell you what it is because you have to go watch that video, which will be out later this week, right, Mandy?
Yes, Thursday.
Okay, so this is about Elijah and Hadley. So Hadley is a single mom. She's pregnant and she has her little girl who's like 3, I think. And she's single because her boyfriend cheated on her at the very beginning of the book. Like this is like in the first chapter kind of situation. And she is going to nursing school and she is working a full-time job and she's working in a nursing home, going to nursing school, and she's taking care of her kids. And she was doing this even before they broke up. And so we see their breakup and then we fast forward a little bit later and she's about ready to pop and she's at a grocery store and her daughter wants a bag of Funyuns. And there's only one bag of Funyuns left. And then that is where we meet Elijah. Elijah is our bad boy tattoo artist, and he does not like kids at all. And he and the little 3-year-old get into a fight over the last bag of Funyuns. And that is their meet cute. I can't tell you.
I can tell you, I love that book. It is a slow burn, though. So if you're not in a mood for a slow burn, don't pick it up. But I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much that I was like almost to the end and I'm like, oh, this was like a slow burn. But I didn't feel like
I listened to it. So I do have to say, did you listen to it or read it?
I read it.
Okay. I would recommend reading it over listening to it. Now that doesn't affect what I gave it. It should have, but it didn't because of the story. So just listen to Mandy, guys. Just listen to Mandy. Anyhow, but like there's a male narrator and he does a good job of trying to narrate, but he narrates for both. And it was kind of, it kind of took away. It was kind of
Wait, there was just one narrator for the whole thing? Oh.
Yeah, and he gave her a Southern accent, which okay. But his voice, it was kind of squeaky and pitchy. Even his male voice, just his voice was a little off where I was like, that's not what I would picture him sounding like. So I would personally, like, God bless that man for trying, but I would totally recommend reading it over listening to it.
Elijah's like a masculine, kind of intimidating man is how he's
I'm not
described.
saying this guy didn't have like a masculine voice. I'm just saying it wasn't what I pictured for Elijah.
Yeah, he needs like a deep, intimidating type voice.
I also want to just say for authors, I understand that Audible is to have audio made, the hair floating near me, is expensive. And I get it, but you're also going to make money off of this and your narrators make or break it. And so finding, like, you need to listen to several of their works before you choose the narrators. If you get to choose, I'm assuming they get to choose. Or
I don't know how that works.
I don't know how that works. I'm just saying that your narrators make or break your book. And so if you're going to invest the money into having audio for your book, you need to make sure that it's quality because again, it will make or break it as far as whether people, because there's times when I just put down a book and went, no, with the audio, and the book itself was probably great. It was the audio that sucked, but I'm so turned off at that point that I don't want to read it. So yeah, just my other, today I'm just giving author advice everywhere, even though I'm not an author and I have no clue. Sorry, guys.
All right.
Okay, so then we're going to get into my next read, which this one was a 5-star, and I was like so here for it. And I cannot tell you much about this book because the plot twist is just like blow my mind halfway through the book. So this is called Lost Soul. It's by Emma Creed. It is the first in a MC series. It is the only one that's on audio, which was really disappointing because I wanted to continue on. So like I said, I give this 5 stars, but this is about Jessie and our heroine. So we start out, and I can't tell, I'm not going to give names here for the heroine, but the Jessie moves in to live with his dad was the president of an MC. He gets killed when Jessie's little. And so Jessie is taken to live with the best friend to his dad and his family and he's the president of a neighboring MC. And so that is where he meets the dad has a daughter, the MC president has a daughter. And so they grow up together and they are best friends. And she is in love with him from day one. And we see her point of view and we see her pining over him. And he comes to her because they're best friends at one point. now she's 18 or she's in college, and he has been seeing this girl that he thinks is gorgeous, and he asks her to get more information on this girl, and things happen, and things it's just yeah, you gotta read the book. It was just
I want to go read it.
so it was angsty. Oh my gosh, this is what I was messaging about. I was like, oh my God, the angst is killing me because she has to go find out information about this girl that is rocking this guy's world. And she's sweet and innocent and not MC at all. And he's said to her, I will never remove my cut. I will never deny my club. But the first time he goes to rescue this girl from something, or they're at a party and something happens, he removes his cut for her. And she's like, you removed your cut for her. Like, you said you would never do that. And so there is just so much angst in this book. I loved it. Loved it. Plot twist. It was great.
I need some angst.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, like, this is what I told you, my chest was hurting. I was like, I don't know, this is killing me. So good. So I gave that 5 stars. I want to continue with the series. It was that good. Been looking for a good MC because 9 minutes ruined me. So, you know. Okay. Next, these last 2 are both 5 stars as well. So I read Phantom by Greer Rivers. So Greer is going to be in Love in Vegas. So we're going to meet her. And I've had this on my Kindle since it came out. I just hadn't read it yet. So this is a Phantom of the Opera retelling. And it's a modern day retelling of Phantom of the Opera. So this is about Solomon and Scarlett. So Scarlett loses her father a year prior, and she is diagnosed as bipolar. She has a manic disorder or manic episode in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. And it's like a thing, like she gets put into a psych ward, and it is a thing. And then we fast forward a year later, she is going to this school for opera, and she lives in the dorms, and she has been getting notes from the Phantom. She's been hearing music with the Phantom, and she thinks she's having another manic episode. The Phantom is a twin, and he is a part of a mafia family, or a rival family. It's a crime family, not necessarily mafia, but crime family, who runs part of New Orleans. And it's this part that she's in. He lives in the basement of the opera, the dorms of the opera house. And so he is, when he was young, he was kidnapped by a rival family, and he was burned and cut up on part of his body, which is why he wears the mask. So this is their story. So good, so different and good. And I was like, I'm here for it. I mean, like, it's great. You got, like, I love retellings, and it's great to have a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but this was different. And then for my last book of the week, Greer did one better. So this is also by her. This is the second book in that series. They can be read as standalones. This is Rogue not Rogue. Yes, it's Rouge. Sorry, Rouge, not Rogue, by Greer Rivers. So this is a retelling it's a combination of Romeo and Juliet and the play that Moulin Rouge is based off of. And I can't say it. It's in French. And I'm not even going to ask Mandy because she's not going to say it either. Sorry. She's just not going to be able to do it for me. So this is about Lacey and Kian. So this is an Irish romance, or like Irish crime family retelling. Or, Irish story. And even the audio, he's got the Irish accent. I was down for it. So Lacey was engaged to Kian off page before we start, and her dad breaks off the engagement. It was an arranged marriage. And so now she's engaged to the Baron because her dad is in prison, and it's to help get her dad out of prison. Well, she goes to her bachelorette party one night, and she just wants to have one night of fun. And so she has this little plan to have fun. Well, the guy she ends up having fun with, who wears a mask because they're masked at this point because it's a strip club, is Kian. And so he takes her, drugs her, marries her, and then keeps her. And things ensue. But I felt it was more Moulin Rouge-y than it was Romeo and Juliet. Granted, I've only seen parts of that movie, so I can't tell you 100%. But again, 5 stars. Loved it. Both of them kind of have breeding in them too, by the way, because they both want them knocked up. So, yeah. Loved it. So that was my reading week. So it started off crappy, got great by the end.
All right.
All right, guys. So that is what we have for you this week.
Okay, so make sure to comment and tell us what was your favorite read of the week. Have you read anything that we talked about? What were your thoughts on those books? We'd love to interact with you with the comments, so comment away. Yeah. And make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Also, too, in the comments, Is anybody going to Love in Vegas besides us? Like, are we going to see anybody there? That would be really awesome to know too, because that's coming up. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next video.